Sorry about that. I had to abruptly end the last part of this video. I had to do this a two-parter because I had to use the bathroom. That was simple the reason for it. Before I talk about Incredible Hulks, continue to talk about that. There's one thing I forgot to talk about here. It's actually from the Fear State book. Batman is scheduling for when he goes to VR stuff. He's scheduled to a box that, get this, has got an owl mask. Yes, an owl mask from the Court of Owls, the Adam West Batman mask, the shark repellent bat spray. You've been thinking, okay, what's with the gun? I think that's a nod to the Batman movie from 1989. The other mask in there, not really sure actually, but yeah, that was a really nice Easter egg for Tanya to do, and it's a Fort Great. Like I'm trying to think where this is one. This is from 113. Yeah, that's what comes 113. I forgot to mention that. Yeah, he just scrunches into a box and basically pulls all these little Easter eggs. Like, I thought that was so neat. The shark repellent bat spray. Oh my gosh, yes, the shark repellent bat spray. Yeah, it's so funny. Yeah, the fact that it's like that it just happened to be like that. hmm Yeah. But I had to bring it up here because if I didn't, people were like, why didn't you bring this up for? A really cool thing happened 113. Okay. In the case of Play as Savage, so they go to Savage Land and they basically encounter Meek again. And the Warbound basically are there. Well, what's left of them, anyways. Hulk is also started. The story had started out with him recovering from the events of the last story arc, the whole thing we took on Zeus. So goes to Warbound with Sakaar to the Savage Land, and he goes basically to deal with Meek as part of a one last loose end from World War Hulk. Though Meek himself actually returned to World War Hulk Aftermath Warbound, then he returned for Chaos War. So it's almost like Greg Pak brought the character back in order to basically tie up a loose end. That's my personal guess, the reason why I did it. So it's a very awesome three-parter. His mate, no name Brood, is in the story. She basically tried to hunt Meek, but she can't find him. Eventually, Meek himself is killed at the end of the story arc, and Sakaar himself is left in the Savage Land. And Hulk admits, yeah, he planned on ditching him all along. He basically didn't want him around. So he leaves by himself. He leaves the Warbound there, goes up to basically deal with She-Hulk. Now, Red She-Hulk. Now, what does the whole thing with Sakaar and Savage Land leads to? That also leads to a mini-series for him. Yep, it does. It leads to Sakaar, King of the Savage Land. Though Ka-Zar himself would actually have the mini-series afterwards. And Danny Ross apparently would die and come back. He also at one point was part of the Age of Wakanda. Now, the case of the last three issues, it's more like last four issues. This is a James Bond-esque style story where Hulk teams up with his estranged wife, Red She-Hulk, to take down Tyrus, one of his own enemies. Yes, a guy who's here for this story arc here. He's even here for the very next story arc. You can say he's pretty much in a way like the villain who pretty much ends this era. Now, he, of course, had returned back in issue 605. It's been a good about a year since he made his last appearance. But part of that story was back in Hulk number 10. Yes, Tyrus. Which at the time had been 9 years since his last special appearance. Mm-hmm. Of course, this is when John Byrne was in the book. Yeah. Classic Hulk villain. First appearance back in issue 5 of the original Incredible Hulk comic book. Yep, so prior to this, prior to appearing in Incredible Hulk, he appeared in most of Hulk Volume 11, one issue of Savage Hulk. He appeared sporadically since his debut. Here it is, Incredible Hulk number 5, 2 issues of Tales of Astonish, then 2 issues of X-Men, a few issues of Fantastic Four, an issue of Marvel Team Up, and he featured somewhat sporadic for a little while in Incredible Hulk, and then he appeared very little after that, and his most recent appearance was actually in MODOK Head Games number 2. Yeah, that was his most recent appearance to date. Yep. But yeah, the whole thing with this one is the whole thing with Rome, and it's great that we have She-Hulk, Red She-Hulk appear in this story arc, who pretty much, you can kind of say this story arc is the first of a... You could say the story arc is a 10-parter, because that's simply put what the story arc is simply put the thing that ends this era for the Hulk. Yeah, and you can think of Hulk as James Bond while taking on his old arch nemesis. And plus, you gotta love the fact that the cover artist gave Red She-Hulk a freaking 6-pack. Yes. Shows the fact that since the 60s, Betty Ross got much more beautiful than she was back then. Yep. Yeah. I love this little team between the two of them. It's great. And the fact also apparently under her sexy dress she's wearing, she keeps her outfit that she normally wears. Which I thought would be awesome. And Tyrus is probably wow, Hulk's wife is hot. I'm going to take her for myself. Yeah, that's what he's thinking this whole story arc. The weird thing is that we have, all these covers got Hulk and Red She-Hulk on the covers. Yep, so... to stop it, and of course, Red She-Hulk goes with him, and of course, first she kisses Hulk, and then she makes out with Tyrus. Yeah, and then the story arc ends with them basically fighting at the Coliseum. And then Red She-Hulk just gives it up with him, and of course, she's angry with him, and she leaves with, she leaves with Tyrus to set up the final story arc of this run. Yep, I'm gonna give Incredible Hulk's Planet Savage a 9.5 out of 10. Really good. I thought the Planet Savage stuff was kind of odd to say the least, but it was still a really good story arc, and you could say that just basically just a follow-up to tie up a loose end from basically two things. The whole thing with Ka-Zar, probably because also that Greg Pak was getting tired of writing the character. That's possible. So he pretty much in a way wrote him out of the series. Yeah. And by the way, Scar's last appearance, next appearance will go, of course, this mini-series, obviously, which I think was 5 issues, I think it was. Yeah, it was 5 issues. And then right after this series wrapped up, he later became part of the Dark Avengers and New Avengers for basically this story arc. Mm-hmm. Which I think wrapped up with 23, I think it did. I think so. Yeah. But in case what Sakara has done since the Dark Avengers storyline in New Avengers, well, if you're curious though, what the heck has he done since then? Well, since he wrapped up that particular thing, he popped up for one issue for Avengers. Well, actually, no, he did appear in Dark Avengers afterwards. Yep, he appeared in Dark Avengers for most of that run. He did skip one issue, but he was there up until issue 190. Then popped up for a few issues of Young Avengers. Showed for an issue of Hulk where he was depowered. And then he popped up in Civil War II: The Fallen, and his most recent appearance was Gamma Flight number 5. Yep, and that was pretty much basically the last time that he appeared in the series. Yeah, that was pretty much in the way like the last officially he had appeared in comic. So you might be curious though, have I covered everything for Ka-Zar? I've covered, as of right now, most of the stuff he's been involved with. Yes, I would probably say the only thing I have not covered yet is Ka-Zar, Son of Hulk. I have not covered that series at all. Of course, Hulk, Hercules, Fall Avenger. I have covered Fall of the Hulk, Savage She-Hulk. War of Hulk, Spider-Man vs. Thor. His own miniseries. And, of course, Dark Avengers, Young Avengers, and Gamma Flight. So, small handful of stuff left, but you might be curious, okay, like, Betty Ross, I'll reveal her fate, like the stuff with her when I talk about the very next trade. But the Warband themselves, they would pretty much disappear from comics. Yeah. Like, they would disappear for a little while. Yeah, they'd pop up for, like, after this basically this run wrapped up, next time you see the Warbound was when they popped up for an issue of Astonishing X-Men and then Civil War II: The Fallen, and that's it for them. No, seriously, that is it for the Warbound. They made like 2 appearances after this. Yeah, don't know why, but they did. In the case of Astonishing X-Men 40 was mostly a flashback, though they did fully appear in Civil War II: Fallen, so you can kind of say this was their very next appearance. Now, I should point out, though, 625 came out in March 2011, and Civil War II: The Fallen came out in August 2016, so you could definitely say that this was their first appearance in 5 years. So 5 years later, they appeared for this one shot, and that's it. No, seriously, that is it for the Warbound. Yeah, like, they never appeared again after this. They were pretty much dropped from the comics. It's almost like Greg Pak featured him in here and had him leave Earth in a spaceship, and like, oh yeah, we're going to go back to Ka-Zar. Even at this point, Ka-Zar did not exist anymore. No, it didn't. Though later on, it did come back somehow. Despite the fact it was destroyed by freaking Galactus. Okay, so basically it was destroyed via time stone. Yep. Yeah. But not much else to say about these 2 trades. They're both really good. So yeah, that's a particular view. Next one is going to be Case of Vanitos. I'll discuss my final thoughts in that series, plus a couple more trades. That'll be pretty much it for tonight, okay? Next video. Bye.